Tubi. Doesn't quite sound like the tiki-taki, but it's nice to see you on the YT, as Matt would say, the YT. Let me pull this down just a little bit. It seems a little dark in here for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe that'll like brighten things up a little bit. I'm unsure. We're going to get started here in just a wee bit second. There we go. Let's see if that helps. Maybe. Maybe it's a little clearer, maybe it's not. So, it's nice to see you, Carla, Southern, MJ. You're all coming in. The Real Me Too, Melanie, Rosalie, Abigail. Hey. It's nice to see you guys on this particular channel. Justin RN, it's nice to see you. JH, Kylie, Merle's mom. Well, looky. Peggy, football mom. Melanie, Donna, SRK, Show Poodles, Island Girl, Diana. It's nice to see you. Angie, Michelle. Oh, Auntie E. It's been a while. Nice to see you, Auntie E. Kathleen, SRK. Michelle, hey. I hope you guys are doing good. I hope you guys had a great Monday. It wasn't too crazy for you. We've been pretty busy here on this side of the screen. Lots going on. We've been covering the case of Sebastian Rogers, the case of Lilly and Jack Sullivan and the Decker sisters, along with their father, Travis Decker's manhunt. We haven't really discussed too much with Sebastian today. Because this morning, the first breaking news was about Summer Wells and the new lead that Jason Jensen has received. So we've been kind of keeping on top of a lot of different stuff going on in this world. I'm hoping that there's some type of resolution to Summer Wells' case, but I truly don't believe her case is going to be properly investigated or provided its proper time until Ronnie Lawson is voted out of office as sheriff. So until such time that happens, that's kind of where we are. We've got a couple of updates on the Decker case that came out since our live on the other show, and we will be talking about that. I dropped a video and even more information has come out since then. So at the end of this show, we will be wrapping up and giving you guys all the breaking news on the Decker case as we know it. West Virginia Holler Girl, it's nice to see you. Sadie, hey. Ty, Bay Lux, it's nice to see you. Connie, it's nice to see you. So many of you guys, if you're here, you probably have been watching the case unfold related to Lilly and Jack Sullivan. Lilly is 6 years old and Jack is 4 years old, and they live in a trailer with their mother, their stepfather, and a younger sister, 16-month-old Meadow, in Lansdowne, off of Gairloch Road in Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia, Canada. On May 2nd, there was a call that came in around 10 a.m. to the RCMP reporting 2 children wandering off from their home. And since then, a massive manhunt is underway for these 2 children. A search that was kind of cut off and scaled back like 5 days in. And then the very next day, they decide to continue the search. And then the next day, they decide to continue the search. Then they call it off again. And then around the weekend of the 17th and 18th, they reinitiate this search when we were all expecting not to hear any more searches. And then there was another search after that. So they've been keeping on top of this case and really searching. Now, yesterday we learned that the RCMP removed literally every piece of information on their site related to Lilly and Jack Sullivan. And I don't know what that means, but I do believe it does mean something. Hey, Ren. Well, good to see you, my love. Rita, same. It's nice to see you guys. So now we're all scratching our heads saying, what is going on? Just weird stuff. So on May 2nd, these children allegedly wandered off. But the weird thing is on May 3rd, the mother gives this interview. And it was almost bizarre, if you will, because she talks about her and Daniel in bed with their younger child and that they hadn't seen the children. The children were off. But she says some particular things that made a lot of people go, hmm? And it was, they snuck out the glass door, went out the glass door, and got outside and must have gotten out of the gate. And we didn't know it at the time. Well, at what point did you know it? And what led you to believe that they were outside, or that they were playing, or that they wandered off? That those things were never explained. But when you're talking to a newscast, you're not going to be over-explaining all this stuff. It kind of sounds weird. But for the rest of us, I think we would kind of like to know how she didn't see or hear the children, but knew exactly how they went out of the home and where they went. It's a little odd. And then to hear what they're wearing, how would she know what they're wearing if she hadn't seen them? And then there's this oddity that she's saying, or the rumor is the law enforcement was called at 9:40. Well, if they didn't arrive at the house until almost 10:40, that would make that statement next to impossible to have done. New Glasgow is literally 18 minutes away. I'm certain that they have some type of law enforcement like they do in every county throughout our states, where they have someone kind of stationed in between long points, probably running radar for speeders or whatever the case may be. So I have to think that there was a law enforcement officer of some sort in between New Glasgow and Lansdowne Station, but maybe not. Even if it was the worst case scenario and it took them 18 minutes to arrive, why would they be arriving at 10:44 in the morning if she called them at 9:40? Again, these things do not make sense at all. Get Lockered. Oh, it's nice to see you. Beach girl. I'm seeing a few people I haven't seen in a while. Well, it's so nice to see you guys. Much love and hugs. Much love and hugs. We reported yesterday that there really hasn't been any news. As a matter of fact, the whole purpose of the show last night was to go over how long it's been since anybody has provided any updates on this. And that's what led me to look at the RCMP website. And that's when I realized all of those posts that they had related to Lilly and Jack from the very beginning, from May 2nd to when they, did the endangered missing person, when they posted the endangered missing person button, page, the flyer, all of that's gone. And so I'm like, what does it mean? I mean, I've never seen a law enforcement body go back and cleanse prior posts about an active case before. Usually once it's out to the public, it stays out to the public. They've never, this is new for me, okay? Because I was trying to go back to find out how many days it had been since we had heard any comments or posts from the RCMP versus, what mainstream media had been putting out, or if they were talking. And I noticed that, Daniel stopped talking. Malehya, she stopped talking on May 3rd. She did a one and done with her children. Like literally, she was one and done. She did an interview, she left, and she's never returned. And then we had the RCMP kind of go dark as well. We weren't getting those updates on how many acres, all those updates they were giving you on, the 5.5 kilometers of square kilometers that they searched. All of those posts were gone, and all the subsequent comments from those posts were gone. I'm not sure what led them to remove the post, but I feel like it's something related to the case or how the case is progressing, or something that we may need to identify, because the next case that we do in Canada, if they do the same thing, it might be something that's triggered when a change of the case, like maybe it was a missing person and that was all related to the missing person, but now that it's a criminal investigation, everything's tight-lipped. They have to remove that under their protocol because it's moved into a criminal investigation officially. You know, it might be something like that. So we want to pay attention to it. We want to get to the bottom of it because we don't really do a whole lot of cases in Canada, but these types of things are good to know because you guys know me. If there's no information, what do we look at? We look at behavior, right? We look at what they're doing and what they're not doing. And that kind of helps identify where we are in the case. So, you know, even though it seems really insignificant, it could be very significant why they're removing all of the posts about Lilly and Jack. But there is an update on the case today, and it just came out about 3 o'clock, so about a few hours ago. So this is fairly, breaking news, fairly new information. But the breaking news portion of this article is kind of in the middle of the article, and we'll get to it in just a second. But I think many people, if they're reading it, might overlook it. So what this article says is it says the RCMP in Nova Scotia said there are no new updates or information in the case of the two missing siblings who mysteriously disappeared from their home in Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia. Police declined an on-camera interview, which is interesting because they've been really promoting this case to stay in the public light. They were a part of the vigil for them where they were at the lectern or, podium or whatever you want to call it. And, speaking to their community just recently at the vigil that Malehya failed to show up to, that Daniel was at, helping light the lanterns that were, set off and whatnot. So I find it interesting that now they're declining any interview. But at the end of the day, Monday said they were using all tools and resources in the search for Lilly and Jack Sullivan in Pictou County. The RCMP officers from various teams are fully engaged in finding out what happened to Lilly and Jack, and they are using all the tools and resources to determine the circumstances of their disappearance, the spokesperson stated. And I can't pronounce it, but it looks like Corporal Galami Tremblay. Any update or new information will be provided as they are available. The sister and the brother, ages 6 and 4, were reported missing on May 2nd from their home off of Gairloch Road in Lansdowne Station, about 30 kilometers from New Glasgow. Police have said the RCMP major crimes and forensic investigators have taken part in the case from the onset. That's important. I want to repeat this. Police have said the RCMP major crime and forensic investigators have been involved since the onset. As a matter of fact, if you've been following this case, this was a surprise because it sounded like they secretly brought in the RCMP major crimes unit in this case, because it sounds like they didn't the way it was written, and I can't go back to it because they've removed everything, but it seemed like they didn't release the major crimes were involved in this case until days later. Nobody knew. And that was there was a reason why they withheld that information. So that is important. And I think that's important because I think it's a cue that tells the public they weren't really believing the story of the parents early on, by May 3rd. And it was May 3rd that the RCMP Major Crimes Unit got involved. It also happens to be the same day that Malehya's family was accusing Daniel, and Malehya took off and never returned again. I think this is a significant date. This May 3rd, something happened that day. I really, truly believe. But to have the RCMP brought in so early in this case, from my understanding, is not normal in a missing person case, especially ones where children just wandered off. But again, do your own research on that aspect. There have been multiple extensive searches in heavily wooded areas around the children's home. On May 2nd, RCMP said during a news conference that they were going to be scaling back their search efforts. We're not packing up, we're not giving up. Sergeant Curtis McKinnon, the district commander of Pictou County District RCMP said, I remember that, I used that clip on several videos. On May 28th, police confirmed the siblings were seen in public on May 1st, the day before, the afternoon of the day before they disappeared. They were still very vague, saying it was family members. It was Daniel that actually told us it was the family. It was them. It wasn't family members. It wasn't like a grandma, an aunt, an uncle. It was them. It was Malehya. It was Daniel. It was Meadow. It was Jack, and it was Lilly. Over 200 here and not even 100 likes. Smash the like buttons. Aw, thank you, Bren. Oh, that's sweet. Hey, Panda Bear's mom. Lisa B. always. Mom first, always. There is a theory that the mom arranged the children's disappearance to people she knows. I absolutely think that that's horseshit. Excuse my language. I really do. It doesn't make sense. And I've processed this already with a few people. There's no need for any type of custodial interference from Malehya with these two children. Absolutely no need for custodial interference. She had no one to fight custody over. These are not Daniel's children. Their biological father was not involved in their life. So why would she need to hide the kids? Why would she need to sneak the kids away? It to me doesn't make logical sense, because nobody was fighting her for the kids. If she wanted to pick up with the kids and take off with them, she could. So I don't understand the whole, she hid them. Why? I guess if you're going to say she hid them, maybe I shouldn't assume. Maybe I should ask this. Why would she hide the kids? Why do you think she would need to hide the kids? Maybe I should ask that question. Maybe it'll clarify why people are looking down that rabbit hole. But it's hard for me to grasp, this whole she had to hide the kids stuff. The mom is supposed to have a new boyfriend. I heard that rumor too, in the same sentence that they were saying that they were hiding the kids, no? But even if she had a new boyfriend outside of Meadow, she can just pack up and leave. I mean, the only problem she would have would be Meadow. So theoretically, if she needed to get out of there, theoretically, it should be Meadow that's missing, if she needed to hide Meadow. But these two kids, I don't see where that works out logically. The view of this video is different. Looks like an Instagram video format. Maybe refresh your device? I don't know. They weren't married. She could have left. I agree. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Prayer Warrior. It's kind of where I'm at with the whole thing, because, I've heard and I'm listening, and I heard the whole thing, and I was receptive to hiding the kids. You listen to it, you theorize it, you play the tape through, you see if the information fits, and this just doesn't fit for me, because it comes down to, why would she need custodial interference when she's not having a custodial problem? Barbosa, hey, there is no logic behind that. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. So I think that kind of cancels its own self out because it doesn't, you know, I think the only way that would work is if it was Meadow, not Lilly and Jack. Just from my viewpoint. Why would she report them missing if she, yeah. Did she hide the kids? Are they found? No, they're not found. They're still out there. But one thing I didn't know, because of where they lived, you know, I judge a little bit, and so I didn't know if, you know, I was unaware if they had vehicles, you know, because I just didn't know. It doesn't look like they have a whole lot of a lot. We're hearing he's only working at the mill 1 day a week, you know, you gotta think cars cost money. I didn't know if they could afford a vehicle. So, but we did hear from the cousin, and the cousin said the vehicle was parked over her house, and they had to tow it to Malehya because she was supposed to go over to her house, but when her mom came, her mom wanted her to go with her, and that was it. And so she just packed up and went with her mother and left her car behind, and ended up having to have it towed. So I don't know. I don't know why they would need to hide the kids, but you know, knowing that she has a vehicle, she definitely could have gotten up in the middle of the night and did something without Daniel knowing about it. But based on the deception detective and other people, it does sound like people are very concerned with the behavior analysis as well as the speech analysis of Daniel. So it's hard for me to believe that he doesn't know anything. So this idea that she just got up in the middle of the night and did something with him, I don't believe. But something happened to him. And I believe they both know what. And they both know where they are. And they both are, you know, she's just not saying anything because she already probably knows. Her mom's probably already let her know she's over her head. Shut her mouth. Turn her phone off. Don't talk to anybody. But Daniel, on the other hand, he doesn't have, you know, his mom's a freaking crazy cat lady. So he doesn't have a parent that's really guiding him and telling him to shut the F up. And I think that all the statements he made at some point might be digging himself into a hole, because when the truth does come out, he's the one that's talked the most. And she's the one that's pretty much thrown him under the bus. So now he's not saying anything to anybody. Now nobody's saying anything to anybody. We don't have law enforcement out there searching for them. We don't have Daniel out here still advocating for them. You know, the news cycle, mainstream media in the areas kind of doesn't really have anything left to talk about. Law enforcement's not giving them anything to talk about. Even this is kind of basically a brush off. They wouldn't even give an interview, an update on the case, if you will. But let's finish this article out, and it says, on May 28th, police confirmed the siblings were seen in public. Oh yeah, we already touched that. So the last organized search for the siblings took place 2 days beginning June 1st. Officials said at the time it was another targeted search around the Gerlach Road area. If you notice, they're saying concentrated in that Gerlach Road area. Many people would equate that, you know, because they think they're missing and deceased somewhere. I don't. I think they equate that to looking at the parents, because there has been zero evidence found in those woods that those children were even in there. And we know that that is almost an impossibility with a 6 and a 4-year-old, especially a 6 and a 4-year-old that may have autism or a form of autism. I just don't see that being a possibility, them leaving nothing behind, no evidence whatsoever. Mind you, no footprints, because it's my understanding the footprint over by the pipeline or whatever that trail is, it could have been Malehya's. She could have done something and walked that way. I don't know. It sounds like, this is the weird thing. This is what I've heard, that the footprint wasn't there. And then several days later, it just appeared. I don't know how true that is. That's just what I heard. Do not pass that around as fact. Let people know that that is rumored, because it is rumored. Searches didn't find anything, and discussions were taking place on whether a future search was needed. So we haven't heard back. The kids aren't found. I would definitely think that future searches are needed, because it sounds like maybe Canada, they have to know what happened before they charge people, maybe. I don't know. I don't follow Canadian law, so I'm kind of a fish out of water, which I've expressed since covering this case. Is it true that child services were involved with the mom? I've heard rumors after the fact that yes, they were. Nothing concrete, but that could have been a misunderstanding, because they are involved now with 2 missing children. Because I heard that they asked that Meadow be removed from the property while the search was underway for the missing siblings. And so that's what I heard, is that Meadow can't be there. Not that there was a confrontation, or this person can't see this person, or this person that blah, 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 blah. I think the whole thing with Daniel not being able to see Meadow is, one, that they're on tribal land, and 2, it's up to the mother whether she wants him to see her, and I think she declined. I think that it wasn't really the Department of Children and Family Services that said he can't have any contact with him, but it very well might, because, something happened. And we don't, and they're very, very silent there. I don't know if we're going to get a whole lot of updates unless the public out there in Nova Scotia goes to social media and provides those updates, or mainstream media, because there's just something a little odd with this, and I haven't put my finger on it. Like, I'm starting to see clearly why the audience really has it in for the parents, and really, the mom and the stepfather. But there's still something, and I just can't figure it out. There's just something that's not being said. Something that everybody knows behind the scenes, but isn't publicly being said. And I don't know what that is, but that's what I feel like there's just something we're missing, or we don't have knowledge of, that will make everything kind of make sense a little bit. Not that it will justify it, just that it'll be a lot clearer in our minds. And I think some of that stuff was spilling out when they were talking about how Malehya basically started detaching from Lilly and Jack after having Meadow 16 months ago. By 16 months, she might have been to her wit's end if she detached that much. So it sounded like she stopped caring for these kids. That's not a good sign when we have missing kids. And it's not a good sign when she runs off and is never seen again either. So I'm really, really looking at Malehya very, very critically at this moment, because her behavior is just not what anybody would expect a mom to behave. I think Martell has a very childlike personality. I feel like he needs to push his non-bio kids out of the way so he can focus on Meadow and Malehya. Something's going on here, because I don't know if you guys, there's a clip that I play on my Horrible Parents video. It's the one that shows all the clips of and it's the Hutchinson kid. It was the one with the red hair. And when we were covering the case of Sebastian, we started looking at some interviews of other moms that have unalived their children, and it brought me to the Hutchinson case and the mom in that case, and she kind of had red hair too. She was a little more heavy set than Katie, but she could be part of the same bloodline, as crazy as it sounds. And her husband or boyfriend or whoever she was living with didn't want the kids anymore. And she was literally dropping them off on the side of the road, and one of the kids tried to grab for the door handle and ended up falling and being drugged and lost his life that way. And that's how it all happened. And both the parents, the mom and the boyfriend, are in jail, and they're in jail for the rest of their life. But you know, you don't think of parents doing that to children. I don't think that a lot of us think that something like that could have happened, and that's how a child lost their life. But believe it or not, whether we like it or even know it or not, kids are left every day in random spots. This one kid was supposed to be left in a state park. Told him to go up to the bathroom. She'll be right back. They're all crying. They knew that their mommy was driving off to leave them. Couldn't handle them anymore. And the boyfriend wanted her to. And that's why he got what he got. So, my own daughter went through a very controlling situation. Ex wouldn't let her out of his sight, checked her phone, records, emails, threatened my grand's safety. Yeah. But we don't have any evidence of that type of violence or that type of behavior coming from the household. It could be, it can't even really be assumed. It could be theorized. But we don't have I don't think we have any supporting evidence that there were any type of abuse, verbal, physical, psychological, or otherwise inside that home that I've heard so far. Now, we've got a cousin talking, we've got Belinda, which is these children's biological grandmother, their father's mother. And so far, unless I missed it, and maybe I did, I don't think anybody has ever talked about violence in this home. Now, there's been substances discussed when it refers to the parents and this home, but I haven't heard anything of loud fights, physical altercations, cops being called. I haven't heard any of that, but it doesn't mean it didn't happen. I just haven't heard about it. Do you think she isn't talking because she isn't allowed to? I think her mom's got her mouth shut, taped shut, like mothers do, right? What do I tell you? Don't get involved in it. Don't participate in it. Don't get yourself in a legal quagmire over your children. The best thing you can do is keep their mouth shut and get them the best lawyer. So that's why I'm really looking, because, you know, mom, the grandma, her mom, Malehya's mom is putting up some red flags herself, which isn't making me feel warm and fuzzy, you know, where she was concerned about the cousin having her phone in her hand. Another time she was talking and her mom told her to hang up the phone. Don't talk about that. Her mom's very, very, very controlling over what's going out of her. That's not typical behavior of a grandma missing 2 grandchildren. I'm sorry, it's just not. And why is grandma not out there looking for the grandchildren if Malehya's staying home in bed? None of this makes sense. All of it is red flags to me. All of the behavior, especially around Malehya, is not right. It doesn't bode with the situation at hand. We got 2 missing children and a mom that fled. And that's how the world looks at it. So she could not have went back to sleep that quick after she called the school. Pretty interesting that she called the school at 6 o'clock in the morning, but still laying in bed at 10 o'clock in the morning. Okay. It seems easy peasy for MB to detach. Yeah. And if Lily was peeking in and out of the room, that meant the kids were up by themselves. Yeah. And not only that, they've lived in this trailer for a really long time. If these kids were, and not only that, Malehya even, she's like, he gets caught up in the woods. I don't see those kids going back there. It sounded like Jack was a little scared of them, if you ask me. And those statements right out of Malehya's mouth the one time she spoke about this situation or these kids. She's never begged for these kids' return. She's never shared the endangered child poster. She's never done anything except change her relationship status, which nobody really gives a crap about. Just doesn't make sense. Just doesn't make sense. Is there any proof of anyone having a lawyer, and who? Yeah, it's been reported that Malehya has lawyered up, but I don't know who her lawyer is. It doesn't sound like Daniel has, which is, again, I always tagged him as being a manipulator, and I've said that a lot. And I truly believe he is. Even not having the attorney or whatever, maybe this is all quiet right now because everybody's lawyered up. Maybe the noose is tightening, and maybe law enforcement isn't playing, and they probably brought him in for several different interrogations at this point, I would presume. I honestly thought we'd all hear that they'd been found safe and well today. That's what makes us know that this defies logic. Okay, this doesn't make sense because it doesn't make sense. Something is not being told truthfully, in my opinion. If Malehya did something to the children, she will be pleading what is it? Puerperal psychosis? Did I say that right? They would have to plead extended puerperal psychosis, but it's likely a defense. Got it. Sorry, my hip on phonics is a little busted. Well, something happened to both those kids the night before. I think that I do too. I think they were probably out of the house before they even woke up. But I could be wrong. It just doesn't make sense. Whatever they're saying happened did not happen the way it happened. We've already caught her lying about the time she called law enforcement, because there's no possibility she called law enforcement at 9:40 and they show up an hour later when New Glasgow's 20 minutes away. That doesn't make sense. So that is lie number one. And why would they need to lie about that if everything's true? Something as specific as the time that they know when the kids went missing and the time they called law enforcement. Doesn't make sense. I agree with you, Scandinavian Sunset. But is Grandma just protecting her daughter from the likes of Logan, whom herself seems very controlling, in my opinion? Oh, Grandma? I don't know. Grandma not looking caring. Something's wrong. Exactly, Mary. Exactly. You know what? Even if Mom was emotionally void or had this postpartum depression and just is kind of checked out at the moment, Grandma isn't. Why isn't Grandma's butt out there micromanaging? Because Grandma could do it better, right? So why isn't Grandma out there micromanaging? Because if something like this, it's always the grandparents that drive the police up the absolute wall. The grandparents and the parents. But we got an absent mom. But why isn't Grandma out there? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Why aren't you doing this? Did you check this? Did you check that? You know how grandparents are. They're too old to give a crap how people think of them. They're too old to care, right? They don't mind having the argument. I'm just joining this. Have no idea what's going on. We need to read about this. Is this happening now? Hey, Robin. So this is about Lilly and Jack Sullivan. They disappeared on May 2nd. They haven't been seen or heard since. Their mother disappeared pretty much. She left the area on May 3rd and has never returned back. There's a lot of suspicion around the parents. There's been nothing, not even a shoe, a piece of clothing, their backpack, or any other items that they said they left with ever found. They've got nothing, unfortunately, when it comes to supporting the statements of the parents. They have nothing to support the statements of the parents at this point. And I think we need to look at it just like that. And so you guys know that the RCMP scaled back the search and then did several different targeted searches. Well, now we're learning that there's no new information, and RCMP removed anything referencing Lilly and Jack off their Facebook page, and are basically telling the world that they haven't given up. And that's to the extent of it. We haven't heard from Daniel. We haven't heard from Malehya since May 3rd. And mainstream media, this is about the only update we've gotten from mainstream media in a while. And the update is we have no update. basically. So, in Daniel's text messages, he says the lawyer for Malehya is the chief's brother. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. I'm not taking sides, except Granny is actually believing granddaughter. Granny isn't knowing how to act. When you are faced with this situation, no one knows how to act in a situation like this. But you know what you don't do? You don't not act something, right? And these people ran away. So they're not acting like they're grieving. They're not acting like they're not grieving. They're not acting like anything. They're just gone. And don't you think that's a little bit odd when you have two young children, 4 and 6 years old, missing? That you have mom and grandma gone? My mom would slice my throat to save my nephew, okay? Because that's her grandson. And when push came to shove, do you think... I'm just saying, my mom's a non-violent lady. I want to put that disclaimer on there. You guys know I'm being facetious, but my mom would literally, she would, like, I'm chopped liver. Absolute chopped liver. I can't see the mother getting or affording a lawyer unless her mom is paying for it. I'm telling you, there's something. Her mom is showing major signs that her daughter did something bad. I don't know how to explain it. We got no evidence of it. I'm just telling you, their behavior is showing that her daughter did something bad. It's having that appearance. No? Is it not? Leaving, running away, never coming back, lawyering up, getting the chief's brother of all people? Does this not sound like somebody that did something really, really bad? This feels like she did something really, really bad. Aw, SJ, really enjoy your lives. Oh, let me go through all these. Let me thank people, because I've been sitting here chattering my jaws, yakking my jaws. I didn't even say hi to everybody. Oh, look at that. Grammy, 23 months. Holy smokes, I'll be singing you happy birthday. I better work on my voice. My voice has been getting a little more raspy as I'm getting older. So we're gonna have to kick it up. I don't know what it is. I never heard of Jessie Murph before. And then all of a sudden she's like all over my stinking feed. And now I can't get her stinking songs out of my head. And trust me, I don't talk about the things that she sings about. And now I'm talking about, you know, upside down on swings and stuff. I'm looking around making sure nobody hears me in the house. I'm like, whoa, whoa. What is going on here? What is going on here? Thank you, Renz. She says, smash that like button. Enjoy your... Thank goodness I'm not making any lives based on Jessie Murph's songs. I'm telling you. And now she's blowing up. She got the construction boys doing it now, too. They're all on TikTok with their hard hats talking about, you know, swinging on chains or swings. And I'm like, woo, 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 woo. What's going on in this world? What's going on in this world? Wow. Well, at least we got some dance music. We ain't got much else. I mean, at least her mama didn't disappear. We wouldn't be talking about whips and chains. I'm just saying. Where are our national recognized dedicated provincial canine and equine units? I heard that they did have the dogs and the mounted patrol out there, so they were out there. Now I don't know. They haven't sold anything about anything. No results of nothing, you know. But I'm almost confident. Did we not hear that they had? I mean, we're running 3 cases. I better slow my roll here. Let me think about this for a second. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. No, we've seen the dogs out there. I think we saw him in some of the footage. So we definitely know dogs were out there. We definitely know the helicopters and drones were out there, and a lot of bodies were out there. So I don't know about the mounted actually, but I do believe the canines were absolutely out there because we saw them on footage. Sorry, off subject. June 21st, it'll be 2 months. Devlin Tate has been missing. I feel sick to my stomach that something nefarious happened. We need to get his story attention. I am heartbroken. And that is Devlin Tate. Alright. Devlin Tate. Alright, so let's give an update on Devlin Tate. I didn't have a picture on this particular article, but this is the newest one I've got, and this came out on April 30th. Is it Ionia? Lonia? I can't tell if it's an I or an, no, it's not, it's an I, so Ionia County? Authorities looking for teen since April 21st, and the last article is April 30th, so he's not getting any attention. Wow. And this is in Michigan. Authorities are looking for an 18-year-old reported missing on April 21st. The county sheriff deputy issued a news release on April 30th asking for the public to help find Devlin Tate. Tate is from Lake Odessa area. Deputies have several volunteer search teams, as well as Lake Odessa police and firefighters have been looking for Tate. Anyone with information about Tate is asked to call Iona. I don't know if I'm saying this right. County Sheriff 616-527-5737. Central Dispatch is 616-527-0400. In Silent Observer online or at 616-774-2345. Let me see if I can find a photo of this teen. And there he is. Let me put this up here. There he is right there on your screen. Devlin Tate right there. Devlin Tate. So if you guys have seen him, know anything about him from Michigan, Lake Odessa, he is still missing. He's been missing for quite some time. Any idea of what happened? Was he with friends, family? Does he stay home? You know what? Why don't you, if you can, instead of writing it all in the chat, why don't you send me an email, bullhornbetty@gmail.com, and let me know kind of a synopsis of this story. Let me see if I can pull something together and give him a little more time on the show. Bad Actor says CPS has Daniel prevented from seeing children. Meanwhile, mother has Meadow. That should tell you something. Yeah, but we have a lot of stuff here. I think I need to ask you this. Are you from Canada or from the United States? Because I'm from the United States and I know nothing about Canada. So I'm learning some stuff that make some of these things that seem as simple as that not so simple, because they have reservations out there. And so I'm finding out that she's part of the tribal nation and she's back on the reservation. Well, there's not, when you're on the reservation, law enforcement has no authority. So they have to have the cooperation of the chief in order to have conversations, speak, or whatever. And I have to think that that goes right down to the custody of children too. If Meadow is on that reservation, I don't think the Canadian Department of Children and Family Services have any jurisdiction over Meadow one way or the other. Now, I need somebody from Canada to let me know whether I'm up the right alley or not, because again, I'm just trying to process this. I don't know this. I'm just thinking that this may be what it is. So that we need to find out for sure, though, because that's assuming a lot. That's all. I mean, a great perspective, but it's assuming a lot to take as fact. Lawyer could be from 1 Form 3 psych holds, just speculating. I don't know what that means. Lawyer could be for Form 1, Form 3 psych hold. The grandmother and aunt always seems suspicious to me of deadbeat bio dad that does not want anything to do with those precious little ones of his. Yeah. And she was stuck with him. Like, there was no parent to, you know, like in Daniel, he doesn't, I mean, he might have helped out, but I doubt, I mean, look at the, if he was really helping out, he would have cleaned up the yard, he would have put all the stuff away, you know. So it doesn't look like there were, you know, when he said he's involved, yeah, I'm sure he looks after them, I'm sure he feeds them, but he's, you know, you don't hear them going out fishing, you don't hear them doing things like this. What have they been doing since Meadow has been born? You know? How long till they were unseen? I've heard multiple reports that they were only one retired dog within 24 hours. My understanding, and this is the problem, with the case from where I'm sitting. You're right. The dogs didn't immediately come in. They had the search crews come in, and when they brought in RCMP major crimes, I think the other major crime resources came with them. So after everybody has already been in the woods trampling all over a potential crime scene, then they bring the dogs in to try to find scent on top of everybody's scent. So no, I don't believe it was just one retired dog, but I do believe that the timing of the canines coming in was one of those situations where it was poorly planned. You know, they should have been there first. They should have had the first dibs in the woods and been utilized on that first stage searching for them, because, you know, scent dogs and canines can be just a valuable resource when you're searching for a person. So having them brought in a day later or 2 days later, whatever the case may be, didn't do the case justice, if that makes sense, from where I'm sitting. But no, they weren't brought in, but I don't think it was only one dog, but they weren't brought in right away. And I think that was a poor decision. You know, you make all these decisions, you know, and trying to figure out what you need on the spot. You know, you're trying to have a crystal ball when there's no crystal ball. And some of these things are not thought through because things are just moving, you know, so rapidly. You hope your training reminds you to do this and this and this and this, but you know, as humans are known, we make mistakes. So I anticipate some things not happening as they should have happened when they should have happened. Allegedly, no contact is allowed with all 3 of his children. Perhaps Ellie knows more. She has been vacated for safety. No. Even safety, I don't think. I don't know. That doesn't make sense for me. Because there's been no allegations of abuse. There's been no allegations of abuse. We haven't heard any allegations of abuse. So why would she be vacating for her safety? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I really don't. So, thanks, Betty. We have to consider what her being on the reservation means. Obviously, look after their own. Suspicious that they have refused before and now they've accepted them. But where did we get that information? You know, I've never been able to source that statement. Where did that statement come from that they were refused the reservation? She makes my day. Betty the detective. Thanks, Mike. And did you get the bus pics I sent? The bus pics. Hold on, let's see what we got here. Where did you send them? Let me go over here. Well, never mind. I know the 2 places you would send them, so let me see if I've got them. The bus in the background. Interesting. Where did that come from? The E's are in the chat room now. I gotta go back and watch there. I haven't watched them on this case yet. I've been so busy doing my own research. I might want to stop and pay attention. That bus had a small child wearing a pink top in the front window as it was going by. I'll have to go back. I know I've got all of his interviews, so I'll have to go back and check the interview. I recorded them, so I have them a hard copy myself. They need to follow it up about the camper bus and the nearby campground. I sent it to crime. Didn't they say that, at the beginning, didn't they say that there was like a suspicious vehicle that was from one of the local campgrounds or something? It is interesting. Yeah, I'll have to take a look at it. That is quite interesting. But something's going on here. We need to figure out what the something is. There's always been something about Daniel, and I just can't put my finger on it, and I've tried to put my finger on it. I've tried to talk it out. I've even talked it out on here. I've equated some of it being, potentially because I am biased related to, substance abuse users, certain substances. I find that people that are addicted to certain substances become highly manipulative. So I kept trying to say, is this just, is he playing us? And just something about him. Then I tried to, equate it to maybe it's because he's holding something back that he knew of Malehya or may have seen, prior to this. And, maybe that's why I'm getting this deceptive or this off feeling about Daniel. But now, with everything going on and then pulling this case and everything that those 2 people, the mom and the stepdad, told us, none of it has come true. None of it has not been one scintilla of supporting information for any of it. And then you have everybody being silent and mom lawyering up. I feel some type of way. One of those parents had to stay home to watch Meadow while the other 2 children. Yeah, that's true. Unless something was done in the middle of the night. We had a case, Leilani Simon, she unalived her 20-month-old boy, Quentin, we called him Baby Q, and she had a boyfriend, a similar situation where she had 2 other kids, and the boyfriend was the father of her youngest child, and while they all slept, she unalived her 20-month-old. Which she had fully detached. She never was a nurturing parent. They never had that nurturing connection since the day he was born. I always believed it was because she knew her mom slept with the child's father. And her mom, grandma. So I thought there was something there, but she had, from everything that we had learned, she just never connected with Quentin. She only abused him. It was just something with Quentin. But when she unalived him, she did it while everybody in the house slept. She even got in her car, left the house, disposed of him, went back to the house, and went to bed. Nobody in the house knew she even left. So I just, there's a piece of me that gets kind of that vibe coming from it, because we know that they were alive the afternoon of the 1st. Well, what happened the evening of the 1st into the morning of the 2nd? The same strange, time frame that we have almost with Sebastian Rogers. Where did he go? What happened from this time to this time? It's kind of there. But it's an overnight. Could she have done the same thing as Leilani Simon, or Daniel for that matter? One or the other. I Absolutely. They absolutely could. Either or. Either or. That's what I said. I think it happened the night before. Yeah. Yeah. And it probably will work out to be that. Well, we do know that they were alive. That they were alive at, like, I think it was, 3:17 in the afternoon that they were spotted. So, we've got that from that time to somewhere after 10 a.m. So we've got, I think it's a 19-hour spread. I can't understand why, if kids were 6, they were up and out of bed. And I also realized, I realized that she's in elementary, but is he in preschool, or, how she's 6, so she's in kindergarten, elementary, but he's 4. Where does he go during the day? Is he in like a pre-K, or do we know anything about that? Or does he typically stay home during the day with his mom? He would be in preschool. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Well, I guess we'll see how everything unfolds. But right now, we're being told by the RCMP that there are no new updates. Just a second. Let me go back here. Just check real quick before I get off here. And that they're fully engaged to finding out what happened to them. So we're getting kind of the word salad. So I think the action of the RCMP pulling all of the missing person investigative work done on their RCMP Facebook site, with them pulling that off, I feel like that is because they are now moving into the direction of a criminal investigation, but I don't know. Oh, where is Summer and Sebastian? 800 TBI fine. It's nice to see you. The bus driver said he rides the bus with his sister, so I'm sure he goes to school. Oh, good point. Soldier Girl, it's nice to see you. I think they should pay the bill already, mate. What bill? Justice for Sebastian. Yes. And hello, Auntie E. It's so nice seeing you in here. I hope you're doing well. I really do. But that's all I've got for you guys. So go make it a great evening. I wanted to touch base on Lilly and Jack. And honestly, I was going to be going over the case, just going back over the information of the case, because there was nothing new to report. And then, of course, they put out an article, and the RCMP will not go on record with them, will not sit down for an interview. Well, let me just for the new people that are coming in here, let me just a second. For the new people coming in here, I'll just grab some of the main points. The RMT officers and various teams are fully engaged in finding out what happened to Jack, and they're using all of the tools and the resources to determine the circumstances related to their disappearance. That was one of the statements that they said. That they're not packing up and not giving up, the same song and dance. And they are still undetermined whether there's going to be future searches. So that's kind of where we're at. There's nothing here, but Daniel shut up, Malehya's shut up and lawyered up, and we've got RCMP removing any reference to Lilly and Jack. Something's going on here. I don't know what. I'm not from the country, but something. I'm trusting my gut on this. So we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great night, and I will see you guys back here tomorrow morning, 10 a.m.